Welcome back to Joygasm, a video game and movie podcast. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360. He is Steve, Xbox Live Stevavitch, and we return you to your regularly scheduled program in episode 144 today, October 26th, 2019. I know that we have taken a week off due to a certain someone getting hitched, and as a result, this is going to be a slightly shorter program than normal, but we thought it would be fun to be able to catch up with each other and then have a few little news items in the gaming and movie world, followed by our topic of the day, which is the Zombieland Double Tap movie review, which we have just returned from seeing. But I would say probably the big thing on both our minds is that Steve is officially off the market. Isn't that right, Steve?
Sorry, ladies.
So he got married last weekend, and wow, what a fun time. What a life-changing experience for you. That chapter of your life as a bachelor has ended, and you're starting a new chapter with your bride.
The room was full of love. It was a good day.
It was a good day.
It was. If I could do it all over again, I'd still do it all over again, Russ.
I'm actually really glad that you guys picked the church that you did, just because it was the church that our parents got married in, and I don't think either one of us had ever stepped foot on that property until Correct. It was around the time. I assume that you probably scoped out the property ahead of time, right?
No. I scoped it via Google.
Oh. Satellite footage. So that's really cool because that was one of the things that I found myself looking at too, was just like, I don't really know what to expect. I've seen a very finite amount of photos, as I'm sure you have as well, of when our parents were young, youthful, and healthy, and they were just married. But there really wasn't a lot of property-oriented shots, and so I found myself kind of in a pensive mood of sorts before your ceremony took off, just being able to look around. I actually still haven't seen the entire property. Did you have a chance to look around?
No, I thought we were going to. I thought we were going to get some extra shots, and I know there's a walkway or a pathway that heads down.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't. We had somewhat of a mild emergency that took up a bunch of time for us to take care of, and then we couldn't explore because of that.
Well, what was interesting too is the day itself, like there was kind of a misty rain that was going on during the morning, and that kind of put everybody a little on edge because we're thinking, oh no, we want to make sure that Steve and Sarah have perfect weather. And luckily it burned off. Like by the time the ceremony was over, the sun had poked out and said hello. And you're able to see the nice view. By
the time I said I do, so do the clouds.
Yeah.
Or the cloud says, I don't, and then they left.
Exactly, yeah. They say, okay, fine. That's
I'm out.
They said. And of course, I was staring as your best man at the back of your bald head.
Right, which was cleanly shaved.
It was indeed. And, it was one of those things where, like, when you're in that position, you really can't see. The only face I could see was the preacher. I couldn't see you and Sarah. I got kind of a glimpse of like one of her eyeballs, and that was about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing the photos and the video. Do you have any idea when those will be ready?
Well, the photos the video, I'm not sure. The photos should be ready maybe by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because he says October is like he had nothing going for October, at least when we got married. So he has nothing else to work on except for us.
Awesome.
That's all he's paying attention to. So that's pretty quick. I'm like, look, I don't know how long wedding photos take to edit, but I'm just saying you don't have to rush to get us these. I want to make sure you take the time to edit these. He said, hey, I'm taking the time. I didn't have anything else booked up for this time of the month, and so I'm just working on your stuff.
Now, there were a couple of memorable situations at your wedding. First of all was the ring debacle.
Right.
And it is, I don't know, like, it was one of those things where like you're obviously going to look back on, it's going to make for a fun story. It already is a fun story.
Right.
But I'm going to set this up. I want you to run with it. But like essentially what happened was it came time for the ring exchange.
Right.
And when it came to you putting the ring onto Sarah's finger, the ring wasn't fitting.
Right.
I'm assuming that she had already tried that ring on ahead of time and it fit. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
Oh!
So what had happened was with the engagement ring, that I had already measured her ring finger like years in advance. I figured this is heading in this direction.
Back
I was going to
she was 18 years old, I measured her finger.
Yeah. So, you know, she's a fitness buff, and so she's been working out and everything. Well, her fingers kind of
swole.
Right. So the engagement ring didn't fit. It fit, but it didn't fit comfortably. And so
Too big or too small?
Too small.
That was the engagement ring.
That was the engagement ring. So we had that one resized, but the ring maker forgot to record the size. He just went, okay, let me measure your ring again, or excuse me, your finger again. And then, okay, now we're good to go. So I thought, I mentioned to him at the time, hey, make sure you got that size down, because I don't know that size. You do. You're the one who took the last measurement. He goes, yeah, okay, yeah, sure thing. So it came time to get the wedding band. And so I thought that he had taken, and I clarified with him, so that's the latter size. He goes, yeah. I'm like, great. Well, he wasn't. It was the size before. So it was the same problem that we had when I proposed to her, but it was just on stage in front of 100 people.
Right.
And cameras and video. And I was like, it's not fitting.
I couldn't get it over the knuckle.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm up there trying to get the ring on, and it's not going past her knuckle. And so after a few glances to the left and to the right and to the pastor, he's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, it's not fitting. And then after some chuckles, I said, it's on. Let's get this thing going.
And to the pastor's credit, even in the rehearsal the night before, he was even talking about how if there's any kind of trouble with the ring, just you don't have to like freak out about it or focus on it. We'll just keep going. And I'm glad that he said that ahead of time.
Right. Yes. So, by the way, actually, no, I'll hold out to the end. So, anyhow, we're walking out, feeling happy. My ring fits just absolutely fine, by the way.
Yeah, it's a nice looking ring. I don't know if I had a chance to compliment you on it.
Thank you. So, we walk out, and the bridal party is having a good time, high-fiving, butt goose and stuff like that. Hey, good job. And and so I tell my bride, hey, don't force it. We'll get this fixed ASAP as soon as we get there. I don't want to get it stuck on your finger, because then you're not going to be able to get it off.
Right.
She says, okay, and then turns to her bridesmaids, and I see her make this face of, I'm like, no! And she goes, and like finally forces it on there. And I look at her and I said, that's not coming off, And I remember our uncle said, well, that's the idea. I'm like, okay, right, okay, funny. So we're going to take some more shots, and we do get the family photos done. We're going to...
those are photos, not cocktails or literal liquor shots. I was going to say, if you guys did that, maybe that was the problem.
Yeah,
your
really.
fingers are starting to swell. Hey, it won't come off.
And so we were going to film this final exit scene for the videographer. And Sarah says, I can't bend my finger. I can't bend my finger. And so she's in the bathroom with your wifey as well, and some of her bridesmaids. And we're trying Crisco, we're trying vegetable oil, we're trying butter, we're trying soap and water.
Well, okay, so let me pause you right there really quick. So I don't remember if we even talked about this on a previous episode of Joygasm. We might have. But I think it was like a month or two ago, my wife had the same type of problem with her wedding ring, where somehow it like got stuck on and she couldn't get it off, and she was starting to lose circulation, and her finger was swelling, turning purple and stuff. So we had to get it off. And just to make it really quick, we ended up having to take her over to a local fire department. And we were thinking that they were going to have to cut it off, but actually they instead went to the fridge, and they had like this Costco sized tub of butter. And the firefighter he just took his hand and just totally grabbed like a softball sized amount of butter and just like completely enveloped Leslie's hand with the butter. And he was able to get the ring off, so they didn't have to do any cutting or anything. And she was all relieved. And it's weird. It's almost like that was kind of like the precursor to this situation. So go ahead.
So we tried everything underneath the sun. She was trying to do the string trick. We were putting, holding her hand over her head and putting it in a bucket of ice, trying to get the swelling down.
Right.
Nothing was working. So we had to call the paramedics. And
well, okay, so our mom
Yeah, dial 911.
Yeah, she starts freaking out, wanting someone to dial 911. I'm looking at her and I'm saying, well, we're not going to dial 911.
Yeah.
This is not some sort of huge emergency. I'll just Google up what the local fire department phone number is and I'll call them. And so I did. And it was just very
casual.
Yeah, calm and casual and just, hey, this is the situation. And so they ended up sending out their paramedics team out to the church. And of course, I talked to Sarah to say, hey, this is a great opportunity to document this entire thing. I know it's kind of stressful right now, but you're going to wish you had it. Is it okay if I tell the guys to film this and stuff? And she was a good sport. She said, yeah, that's fine. So went over and told the guys the situation. And so they were prepped and ready. They had the drone in the sky and they had their cameras ready to go. And I was like, yeah, you need to film as much as you can get away with because this is going to be gold right here. So,
yeah. So they bring her in, and they said everyone else could not enter the post-wedding party wagon.
Yes.
Post-paramedic party wagon. And so...
we'll just write just married on the ambulance. It'd be great.
That's it. And so...
put some cans on the bottom. It would be perfect.
Right. And about a minute and a half later, no screaming. Shit came out. It's off. I'm like, okay. They just had to cut at the bottom of it.
I did see the little mini bandsaw thing. Did you see it?
I did not.
I did. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So when we saw the ringmaker when we got back, it turns out that Windex does the trick. And so because we had eaten, I guess we had eaten some salty food, and she had
sodium,
and she got swelled up again, and she couldn't get even the cut ring off of her finger. And she's like, yeah, okay, I can really force it. But they go, oh, watch this. They go and spray a little Windex, and it comes right off. I was like, wow.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things that can be helpful. I mean, even dish soap.
I think we tried that too.
Yeah, there are quite a few different things that can actually be very helpful in getting rings off. And it's funny how every situation, it's just a different thing. Because we tried Windex. I believe, I'll have to double check with my wife, but I believe she may have tried that and it didn't work. But then the butter did work. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of funny how that all pans out. But so anyway, getting the ring off. Everybody heads out, we're heading to the reception and whatnot. Now, I'm assuming that you are up to speed as to the marriage certificate status.
Yes. So I am. So we need that desperately because my bride can't work anywhere because all this legal stuff of her becoming a U.S. citizen from a Canadian citizen, it's a bunch of bureaucracy. And so she cannot file her change of status from her fiance visa to her working visa until we have this marriage certificate. And so what happened was on the marriage certificate, the pastor, I believe, was talking with other people.
Yes.
And
I can fill you in on this.
Okay. Yeah, because that's basically all I know. And he wrote down the wrong address. And so legally, they couldn't file it correctly because we put down something else versus what's on the marriage certificate.
So I'm going to back up a little bit here. What was really funny was we ended up getting back to our parents' house. And everybody's just letting down, and we're getting out of the tuxedos and just putting on comfortable clothes. And by this point, it's 11:30 at night. And all of a sudden, our mom just lurches forward from the couch and clasps her mouth with both hands, does this gasp. And we're all just like, what the heck? And I mean, her eyes are just wide, just huge. She's just staring ahead, and it's just like, what are you doing? And at that point, she realized she forgot to get the marriage certificate and bring it home with her. It was still at the reception.
I heard about this part.
And so both she and dad had to somehow make themselves halfway dressed and then blast back down. Luckily, one of the people who was cleaning up the venue ended up taking the little envelope that contained the certificate and placed it in the office, which I thought, well, way to go, person. That's really cool.
Staff was on it for sure.
So we thought that was the end of it, but then when it came time for her to try and register the certificate with the county clerk, I guess the clerk looked at it and was like, there's a problem here. And she was like, what's the problem? And that's when that whole thing came in, where apparently when the pastor was going through and writing out all the stuff, because I had to sign it too. I signed the certificate as a witness, and so did the maid of honor. And we were trying to.
Russ.
Well,
thank you very much.
My autograph will be worth something someday, and you will have a copy of it.
Did you sign it Toaster 360 or did you sign it Russell?
Oh, I had to sign my real name. But the issue at hand, like you said, was the address, where apparently some of the guests that he was sitting at the same table during the reception was watching him fill out the various information, and they started to insist that it wasn't the correct city name that he was about to put down. And I guess they ended up convincing him. They psyched him out, and so then he ended up putting this other city name, and that was the big problem. And so I'm not even sure what the most up to the second information is on that. I don't know if you know what it is or not, but like I guess like there is a possibility where like they're gonna have to refill out a brand new certificate or something. But do you know anymore?
Yeah, they have to fill out some amendment to the certificate. It's going to get done. It's going to be fine. But it's just one extra delay, of course, in the whole entire process.
And another story.
Right.
See, like there are people out there who just say, yeah, we went to the ceremony. It was nice and lovely. We went to the reception. It was fun. And that's all I have to say.
Right.
There's not drama and conflict that has, triumphant resolutions to. So good on you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, Russ.
I know that has been front and center for you. And of course, you just got back to Texas. And so have you had a chance to, obviously you saw Zombieland, but have you had a chance to play anything or watch anything? Or
yes.
Oh, you have?
So I've been waiting for the Overwatch Halloween Terror. And of course, it drops when I think the game comes out for the Switch.
That's when they're going to drop it?
Yes. And so the Tuesday I leave is the Tuesday they let it go. And so that was the first game I played when I came back. And of course, it's kind of monotonous. And she wanted to watch me play it. And I said, this is going to go on for a while. Like, I'd love for you to watch me play it. You can if you want, but you might be a little bit bored. And she just was happy to be at my side.
Sure. Yeah. She just wants to hang out.
And so I played that. And then we watched both Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2 one night, and then the second night.
Those are fun.
Yeah. By the way,
has she seen those before?
She said she had, but then she was saying this whole thing didn't look familiar to her, so maybe she had a while ago. So anyhow, so we're all prepped for Bad Boys 3.
Excellent.
Or Bad Boys for Life. But we both feel like really cussed out because so much cuss. We're like, okay, language. We need to read a book.
Yeah.
Tolkien, give me some Tolkien.
Where's the bar soap?
So anyhow, that's basically about it. I mean, we watched Zombieland, double tap today. W tap on the back. And so yeah, that's about it. We were cycling through a bunch of Netflix stuff, but you know what? I started to watch, actually, no, I got almost all the way through London Boulevard with Colin Farrell and Keira Knightley. And I thought that was going to be good, and that is boring. It's like, there is so much talking. I'm 3/4 of the way through it. I'm like, is anything going to happen in this movie besides talking? Is there anything that's going to happen? The preview was so good. Anyhow, I might finish. I got to send it back, but what have you been up to, Russ? You just got back not too long ago.
I did. You guys got back here before I did, and I came back, and it's just great. We were out for about 8 days. And it was fun to be able to visit folks in California and be able to meet up with friends I hadn't seen in years, as well as family. And so, but by the time it was time to come back, I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I think the whole family is ready to get back. And especially given there was some sort of random hot spell that occurred where the last couple of days we were there, it was 89 degrees.
Wow.
Super dry, super hot. And of course, our parents have no air conditioning in their house. And apparently we left at just the right time because now there are more fires that are going on, I think in Geyserville or something.
They're now having to evacuate Healdsburg. Yeah, Windsor.
Yeah.
So this is the third year in a row they've had fires in the exact same spot.
It's crazy. So when I got back, before I even say that, we hope that everybody stays safe. No one gets hurt. We actually have friends of ours who lost their homes. I think it was last year's fire. So, this is just kind of almost like PTSD all over again. But anyway, When I got back, I realized that The Outer Worlds is now available on Game Pass, on Xbox Game Pass. And if you recall, Obsidian Entertainment is the company that has made this RPG, and they are the ones who made Fallout New Vegas. And so it's this kind of quirky, eccentric sci-fi RPG kind of thing. And I put about 30 minutes into it, and I'm liking it so far. I think it's fun. I think that the graphics, they just, these types of games tend to kind of suffer a bit in the graphics department just because the worlds are so big and they have so many items in it and that sort of thing. And so you have the graphics fidelity take kind of a back seat. It almost looks like an Xbox 360 title. But in terms of the dialogue, the story, just some of the gameplay aspects and stuff, I'm going to give it a fair shot. And like I said, I mean, it is it seems to be so far a fun, enjoyable game just to kind of engross myself into. So started doing that. Also, when I was on the flight, I busted out my Nintendo Switch.
Of course.
And I resumed playing Octopath Traveler, which I have not played in quite some time. And honestly, I completely forgot what the heck I was doing and where I was supposed to go. And I mean, apparently this title is like 100-hour plus long title. I'm not that far in the game, but at the same time, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I have no memory of this place. And so I'm like literally having to backtrack my way through. I'm like, what? Okay, I kind of remember this here and everything else. Anyway, I'm going to make more of an effort to stay on it because it is a fun game. It's a classic RPG approach, and the graphics engine is really cool, and so I mean that's fun. I also bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which just released this week. I literally have put about 5 minutes into it just to get a little glimpse, just a little peek as to what's going on with that, but we'll probably have that be our topic of the day next week, just when we're able to have a few hours under our belts and we can have our impressions of it. I actually watched John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum again while I was on the flight as well, Steve.
Now, so did you watch it on your Switch or your phone, or how'd you watch it?
On my phone.
Okay.
I watched it on my phone, and I was really glad that I did. I was reminded of how amazing that movie is, how much I love the world of John Wick. And I really hope that they never stop making sequels. I hope that Keanu Reeves is in his 90s and they're still cranking these things out. It'd be fantastic. But that movie came out earlier this year.
I sure did.
I think it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year.
Okay.
But, anyway, okay. Finally.
Yes.
For me.
Okay.
I'm really starting to get into a cartoon TV show called Little Big Awesome. Have you heard about it?
I've heard of it. Yes.
I am not sure who the creator is, but I know that Weird Al Yankovic is actually in it. Like his character is the sun. You see his face in this plush toy sun thing that happens every once in a while. I am here to tell you, Steve, you need to check this out because it is some of the coolest approaches in terms of art direction with just how the cartoon looks. And the dialogue is so good. I mean, I feel as though like as I'm watching, because my daughter's really into it. Like she started really having kind of a hankering to watch it more and more. And so then naturally I'm sitting down and go, okay, what is this thing? And I gotta say, like it's just as fun for adults as it is for kids. It reminds me a little bit of Invader Zim in terms of like when Invader Zim came out, it was a very different cartoon art direction than what you would typically be expecting. And the humor itself could be funny for children, but also funny for adults. Now, the sense of humor in Little Big Awesome is very different from Invader Zim. I mean, it doesn't, they're worlds apart in terms of how they approach it, but I want you to sit down and watch a few episodes because I really do think that you would dig it too. It's just this really fun, creative, clever show that just, you could literally have it on in the background while you're doing something else and you can just look over once in a while and just enjoy it. I don't know. It's really great. So we have one story in gaming news and then I'll just plop into movie news. But the gaming news article that is pretty crazy is that the popular streamer by the name of Shroud leaves Twitch and joins Mixer. he ended up announcing on Twitter that he is making the leap from Twitch to Mixer. And in the tweet, he wrote, quote, "Same Shroud, new home." According to his Twitch, Shroud had over 7 million followers on the platform, and a recent Business Insider survey listed Shroud as the second most popular streamer on Twitch, behind only Tfue. I'm not sure who, I actually haven't seen Tfue before, but what I find interesting about this article is that he is the second really big streamer to leave Twitch right after Ninja. Of course, Ninja is probably one of the most popular streamers out there. His numbers continue to grow. But it shows how there definitely is some sort of disconnect that's going on with the platform of Twitch. Where, like, whatever the reason, I mean, with the first one, Ninja, you know, I could see Microsoft approach them and saying, hey, we're going to offer you this really lucrative deal if you come be exclusive with us, leave that platform. But seeing now another one who's super high and popular and everything else, it makes me wonder, is there going to be more to come? Are there going to be more streamers who are making a grand exodus from Twitch over to Mixer? And why? What is the pull?
Maybe us too.
I see what you did there. What are your thoughts on it?
Actually, I was going to ask you a question. So what? So Ninja did Fortnite. What does Shroud play mostly?
I am not exactly sure what his mainstays are. I know he does play some Fortnite. I think he plays Call of Duty. But I mean, even Ninja, I mean, he's not only Fortnite. You know, he'll play Sea of Thieves. He'll try out Call of Duty. He'll try out different games and that sort of thing. But I think Fortnite is kind of his bread and butter when it comes to that. So I don't know. I mean, Mixer might be the new king to rule them all. You know, you never know. So, when it comes to movie news, we've got two little guys here that I just thought I'd be, you know what? Hold on a second. I want my official movie news. This one just isn't working for me, Steve. I'm gonna switch it over. Oh.
Well, all right then.
My goodness, I feel like I'm back in Hollywood already. So, the first article here I thought was interesting is that the Joker movie is on course to be as profitable as Avengers Infinity War. Have you heard about this?
I have.
The movie has made, apparently, $745 million worldwide. But the budget of the Joker movie was $50 million. According to Cinema Blend, the revenue and profit are two very different things, of course, but it looks like the Joker is going to make a nice little profit for Warner Brothers, because at this point, the expectation is that Joker could end up adding nearly $500 million, with a capital B as in boy, dollars to the studio's bottom line, which is about on par with what Avengers Infinity War made for Disney. Now, the Deadline website is pegging the profit for Joker to be something around $464 million when all's said and done. That number is apparently just short of what Infinity War made for Marvel Studios, which was closer to an even $500 million. And I was doing some more digging, and it's estimated that Disney probably spent around $321 million on the budget of Infinity War. So you can see how, like, you know, if you carry the one and do some adding and subtracting and everything else, I mean, really, when it comes down to the bottom line numbers, the Joker has a chance of actually making the same amount as Infinity War, which, of course, Infinity War is different than Endgame. Endgame made, I think, more money than Infinity War. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's got to go towards some better computer effects, some better props, maybe some practical effects, you know, maybe some on-location filming for once. You know what I mean, Russ?
Well, I think that's kind of the general consensus too of the folks out there, is just that, you know, the Marvel movies like Avengers, there was so much CGI. It was almost like a roller coaster ride of sorts with special effects and stuff, and that's perfectly fine. I myself love Infinity War, as I know you really enjoyed it as well. But a movie like Joker, I don't think there was any kind of CGI whatsoever. It was just much more of your classic filmmaking and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said for it, and I definitely congratulate Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix on a mission accomplished on that one.
Well, I can tell you what can be said for it, Russ.
What's that, Steve?
A good story and well-acted plot, everything, doesn't need a whole lot of money and computer effects and all this big bag whiz, boom, pow. Hey, to be a good movie, make a lot of money.
A good story does go a long way.
Right.
Indeed. So the next thing on here for movie news is the fact that there was the latest Star Wars Rise of Skywalker trailer that dropped earlier this week. Let's give it just a little look-see, and then we'll provide our reactions later.
It's an instinct. Feeling. The Force brought us together. We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
But I do.
Long have I waited. And now you're coming together. Is your undoing.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny. The Force will be with you.
Always.
Star Wars, December 20th. You know, Steve, when I look at something like that, obviously the visuals are gorgeous. I mean, you could freeze frame that anywhere, and the technicality, the artistry is definitely there. But, you know, there's one slight problem. The one slight problem I have, Steve, and that is that I have no emotional attachment to the plot or the story. There is I mean, this is nothing surprising, of course, just because of our reviews of the first two films within 7, 8, and now we're looking at 9 here. But it's just crazy when you look at it because the marketing aspect of the trailer is really well done. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But the whole time I'm looking at these different characters and I'm thinking to myself, I don't care about them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll see it, but I can't tell you I'm excited.
Yeah, like I think that's the hardest thing is when I watch it, I'm just reminded of how Rey is completely invincible, how she has no type of vice. She doesn't fail at anything. I mean, Flynn is in there as well, and
They're all throwaway characters.
Well, it's like like none of the characters really.
Yeah, on this trilogy, like this is the third film where we've had these characters,
right?
And I don't care anything for them. I have no attachment. I don't care about any of them. I mean, there's the Lando Calrissian's in it, so I care about him.
Yes,
a lot. But everybody else is, I really don't care what happens to any of them.
Yeah, it is unfortunate too because I mean, there's so much money that has been spent throughout this latest trilogy of Star Wars, and looking at what they've been able to come up with. I mean, again, this is almost kind of like the opposite of what we just talked about with Joker, where it's like, George Lucas himself, way back in the day, said a special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing, and he was right on the money.
AKA Joker didn't need any special effects. You had a story, that's all you need.
you have a compelling story and you have characters that are identifiable or ones that generate empathy or sympathy and you know, a whole cascade of other types of emotions, and you got yourself a winner. And I think that is the biggest problem with this moving forward, is just the plot line is such a train wreck. And it really, I would say BB-8 is probably the one character that I thought, okay, yeah, I like BB-8, that's cool. But I mean, when you have all these other characters that have been introduced through the last two movies, that's a big problem, especially when you look at the original trilogy and how much in love everyone was with the characters from the first two films.
Yeah, the whole thing's just been sabotaged.
It really has. I watched this trailer and I'm thinking,
there's no magic. It's just,
well, what's the point of us being here?
Yeah.
Like, why are we, you know, it's like they've had to rely on trying to trudge through some of the tokens of memorabilia from the original Star Wars trilogy in order to drum up some level of nostalgia or empathy or whatever it is. But it's like, man, that's a big problem if you can't move forward from there. And I mean, we could talk about that.
it's almost like they removed the fantasy from sci-fi.
I don't know. It's just crazy. We, of course, I mean, we're going to go see it. But it is just insane to me how, I don't know, I've become so detached from the Star Wars universe that back in the day, I would be soiling myself in anticipation to see a Star Wars movie. And now it's like, I never thought I would come to the point where I would say like, well, yeah, I'll check it out. You know, we'll see it and whatever. You know,
Catch it on matinee.
it's like, what the heck? What has happened? Now, did you see the deep fake that I posted on social media? I posted on Joygasm on Twitter and Facebook, and it's a great video that someone had actually created a deep fake of George Lucas.
Oh, I know. I saw you posted it. I did not look at it.
You've got to watch it. In fact, all you listeners out there, you got to check this out. Someone posted a deep fake, which if you don't know what a deep fake is, there's this new technology that's out where you can actually manipulate someone's face to look just like someone else. So like there have been various examples of this on YouTube where like if someone is like Bill Hader, for example, like he'll be on a Tonight Show and he'll be doing an impression of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and someone has actually been able to turn his face into Arnold Schwarzenegger when he does the impression and then turn it back to his face. It's spooky like how well it looks. So they did the same thing with some other actor, and he's acting like George Lucas, and I mean it's really funny to watch. But I mean they're taking the standpoint that George is watching that same trailer for the first time, and he's just bagging on it the entire time. It's gold. It's pure gold. Prepare to slap some zombies. It's time for the topic of the day.
Hey, Possum Ape.
Sorry, just you in that chair.
I think I would have made a damn fine president.
You would have brought a real dignity to the office.
You're welcome, America.
Welcome to Zombieland. Life is about more than just survival. We were a family. Dysfunctional, sure, but what family isn't?
Merry Christmas! What would you like, little girl?
I'd really like for you to stop calling me little girl.
Do you know what I would like?
I don't give a shit what you do.
It felt so good to be on the move again.
Whoa!
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm Columbus.
Madison.
This is Tallahassee.
Hey, Poplart. Is this your dad? Oh, whoopsie. I forgot the seatbelt rule.
Oh, so she knows the rules?
I told her just a few of them.
73. Are there more? You're cute. I like it.
My sister is gone. She picked up a boy. He's from Berkeley.
Berkeley.
You don't have weed, do you?
Do I look like the type of person that would have weed?
I'm sorry.
Boom! Yeah?
I have nothing against
Hippies, I just want to beat the shit out of them.
We're gonna go get her. We ride it, dog.
Start talking.
You first.
Oh, my name's Tallahassee.
Die, zombie! Light him up! No! That's my ride! Oh, my apologies, little Elvis.
Okay, is it me or does he kind of remind you of...
I don't like you. At all.
I think you double parked. Or more perpendicular parked. Hope we don't get a ticket.
What is going on here?
What?
Hello, everyone.
Am I hallucinating?
Steve, are you a little constipated on the toilet?
Nah, just
Did you drink too much?
indigestion.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was a fine zombie sound, I must say.
Yeah, thank you. I've been practicing on the plane.
On the plane. By the way, we had a lot of crazy turbulence coming in. Did you have a lot of crazy turbulence coming into Texas?
Yeah, but actually both ways we did. A couple. Whoa, bump. Oh my gosh! What in the world? Seatbelt sign has come on.
Yeah. The pilot comes on.
No, I got it.
Would everybody please put their seatbelts on? We're going to be experiencing a little bit of turbulence, and we'll be landing in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
They always have that like uber sedated sound in their voices, like they're gonna fall asleep while flying us to our destination or something.
We had one of ours like whisper to us. We're like, "What is he saying?" Like as if somebody was asleep up in the cabin. They're like, "Hey, everybody,
The co-pilot is taking a power nap, so I don't want to wake him up." What? Anyway, our topic of the day is Zombieland 2 Double Tap movie review. So we're going to begin by giving our high-level impressions of the film and then drill down into spoiler territory with the following categories of cast and crew, the plot, the script, cinematography, soundtrack, and costumes. So, high-level thoughts. I'm going to start us off with this time. I think, well, first and foremost, when I saw the movie, I realized that the first film came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Really? It's been about 10 years.
It's insane. I mean, that means, I was actually talking to my wife about this. It was like one of the first movies that we watched as a dating couple because we started to date in 2009. And that film came out on October 2nd, Steve, which was pretty crazy to think about. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was when you started around that time to date your blushing bride.
Almost.
Hey, babe, you want to go see Zombieland? Sounds great.
It sounds dangerous. I mean, my thing is like, why did it take so long for the sequel to come out? Because I personally am a big fan of the first movie. I love the first Zombieland movie. I was like, yes, more please. I want to see some more. And it just wasn't the case. So overall, I thought it was fun seeing the crew back together again. And with the exception of Little Rock, they all somehow look exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's what threw me off, too. I'm looking at them thinking,
thank you, science.
Again, to quote the awesome Gandalf, you haven't aged a day.
That's right.
This is crazy. I like the new characters. That's another thing. We'll get into that later. But all of the new characters that got introduced into this world of Zombieland, I definitely give a thumbs up to. I think the film is not as groundbreaking due to, I think, the sheer amount of just zombie shows and video games we've seen over the last decade. You know, I think that a lot of what they did was novel when the first film came out. But I mean, zombies just became so popular. Everybody was doing it. And so seeing this one, I was like, I was happy to be there for it. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, it's not as much on the level as the first one was. But I do think it's worth seeing if you're a fan of the original movie.
Yes, Russ. I'll just jump right in. I think that's why they waited so long to bring out the second movie, because when the first one came out, it was kind of right on that uptick of, zombies are cool now. Let's just do zombies in games and movies and at Comic-Con and everywhere and on TV.
Yeah.
And so they thought, it's probably going to be zombied out, just kind of like how everyone's kind of getting superheroed out, Marvel saturation. And so I think actually it was pretty smart on their end to go, hey, it's been a little while, zombies kind of on the way out, but this was still a well-accepted movie. Might as well put out another sequel out there.
Indeed. I think you're onto something there.
Thank you.
What were your high-level thoughts, Steve?
Well, I thought it was fun. I just didn't think it was that funny. But the thing, it was a chuckle. I was chuckling and I go, oh, that happened. Okay, I'm not laughing. It's been 20 minutes. So that's not to say it sucked. Russ. I'm not saying that. I was entertained by the movie.
Are you not entertained? Am I going to give you a thumbs up or thumbs down?
So I did like how the movie was scripted. I too liked the characters. I liked how the story went. I just went into it thinking it was going to be funnier than it actually was. For me. I know you and I kind of laugh at some different things, Russ. Maybe you have a broader sense of humor than I do. Maybe I look for, I don't know, maybe just look for more of the quality, Maybe you just look for more of the quantity.
I don't know.
I look more of the quality. I don't know, Russ.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I did like how they, I almost stopped myself right there. See, I stopped myself. I was going to give a spoiler away.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's go ahead and sashay into the spoiler elevator then, without further ado. And Steve,
what rule is check the elevator, by the way?
It is. Must check the elevator.
Must be rule number 78.
You didn't get bit, did you?
Only by you.
Well,
maybe a nibble.
A nibble.
By my wife.
Nibbler. No, that was me.
Yeah, that's you.
I put on some lipstick and
sign up over there. It's funny. Actually, you said that because my wife handed me like this carbonated drink, and she goes, "Hey, try this," and I go, "Great." I put a little back
here,
and then
try this. See if it's bad.
see if you die first, then I'll have some. So then I tried it, and then she came up to give me a kiss, and she goes, "Hey, why do you smell sweet?" I'm like, "You're kidding me, right? You just gave me a sweet drink." She goes, "Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, 'cause you smell like raspberries." Yeah, that's why.
It's like me, fruity yet oddly appealing,
with a burp at the end.
Oh. We have reached the spoiler floor, and so we're going to go into our spoiler version of our review of the film. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you pause us, or if you don't care, then just keep listening. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the cast and crew. I know we've been doing the plot stuff for a while, but I feel compelled to just give them their due diligence simply because this is probably one of the strongest aspects of the film. You have Woody Harrelson, who plays Tallahassee. You have Jesse Eisenberg, who played Columbus. You have Emma Stone, who was Wichita. Abigail Breslin, who was Little Rock. And, she was like a kid in the first film. Zoe, and I want to make sure I say this, it's either Deutsch or Dutch. Her last name is spelled Deutch. I'm just going to say Dutch, and I apologize if that's not correct. But she played Madison. She was like the blonde.
Airhead.
Mm-hmm.
You know who she looked like was Tay Leone.
Really?
Yeah. Remember, she was in Bad Boys 1, and she was the main
Oh, man,
girl.
it's been a while since I've seen it.
She's was married to David Duchovny. And she was in The Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Okay, I remember Family Man. Which character was she? The sister?
The wife.
No, not the wife.
Oh, yeah.
No, well, no, Tia. Okay.
Okay.
I can kind of get there.
Okay.
Kind of get there.
Yeah, okay.
There was also Avon Hogia, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, who was Berkeley. Hippie. And there was, of course, one of my favorites, Rosario Dawson, who played Nevada.
She was awesome.
Luke Wilson was Albuquerque. Thomas Middleditch was Flagstaff. Okay, so if you've been paying attention to all those character names, I think it's really funny how they're all named after locations in the United States. You notice that?
Yeah.
Did they ever explain why that is?
I think they explained it in the first movie.
They
didn't explain it in the second movie.
Yeah.
But they explained it in the first movie.
For some reason, I find that really cool. I like how those are just everybody's names. It's just different places of the country. So Woody Harrelson, you cannot go wrong with Woody. He is amazing. I love his Tallahassee character. It just puts a smile on my face. It's just fun to watch him do his thing. Did you enjoy him?
I did. Yeah. No, he's a great character in it, and he has great chemistry with Columbus.
Yes. Tallahassee and Columbus, obviously, that's probably one of the strongest chemistries in the entire movie. And it's nice too with Emma Stone playing Wichita. You know, I think that her grounded, down to earth character is just it's a nice contrast to some of the stuff that Columbus and Tallahassee find themselves in, that sort of thing. I mean, and even Little Rock is fun too. It threw me off though to see her so much older.
Right.
I'm like, wait, who is that? Oh my gosh, that's the kid.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of Zoe's performance as Madison? I thought that was a fantastic addition to the character roster.
Yeah. That's a point that can be made, is if they brought someone else in who's similar to one of the characters we already know, too much of that is going to be the same thing. So you have to
have original character archetypes.
Yeah, you got to throw a wrench in the machine in a sense. A candy wrench.
Mm-hmm.
a pink cotton candy wrench. Mm-hmm. And so she was fine. I just kind of got tired of it because she's the constant joke in the movie. Mm-hmm. And so whenever the camera's on her, you already know she's going to say something an airhead would say. And then she would say something an airhead would say. And you're like, yeah, that's what I expected. So you already kind of knew like a quarter of the punchline was going to be there, and then you saw it, you're like, okay, fine.
I think the key though is that her delivery was on point. Like anybody could have done like, oh, I'm going to play an airhead or whatever, and it could be forgettable. For some reason, she is so adorable in the movie with being an airhead and her ability to pull that stuff off. I mean, like I even saw certain scenes in the trailer and I saw it in the movie and I still laughed. Like when she didn't have her seatbelt on, she just goes flying forward and hits the front of the dash of the van. I still found that funny, but it was only because of how she delivered that whole performance. And I haven't even heard of Zoe. I don't know of any other films that she's been in. At least, I mean, obviously she's been in other films, but I haven't seen them myself. And of course, the guy who played Berkeley, Avon, again, I mean, I really feel like he embodied the city of Berkeley in that character. I mean, of course, we've been through Berkeley many times. We've seen the culture and the persona and stuff. And I don't know, it was just really fun to be able to like see more of these like really funny character archetypes that got added in, and just, you know, it's almost like you're having like some sort of science experiment where you're adding these different components into this formula, and you're going to see like how it, you know, shakes out, so to speak, when you shake the beaker. Is it beaker?
Yeah, just like the Sesame Street character.
No, calm down, beaker. That poor guy. So then on top of that, of course, with Luke Wilson being Albuquerque and Thomas Middleditch being Flagstaff, we saw a bit of this in the trailer, but again, it was just, I think the ridiculousness of it was just perfect for this world.
Yeah. Although I think they kind of had a little bit too much of a bromance between the two. Like, okay, what's kind of going on here? Because I expected them to be identical, and they were with how they spoke and the words they used.
Yeah.
But not towards their, I guess, chemistry or affection towards each other. Because Woody Harrelson's character he's kind of more of like the tough love person.
Yeah.
And I didn't see Luke Wilson's character having the tough love, kind of characteristics with the other, his partner.
Yeah. Well, and so, okay, let's go into plot here. So the plot itself is very straightforward. I mean, Little Rock needs space from Tallahassee, so she leaves, and then of course Wichita obviously gets spooked by the marriage proposal from Columbus. And so the girls just all of a sudden just leave a note and take off and ditch the two guys. And they're like, what the heck is going on? And Wichita ends up coming back and realizing that she lost Little Rock and she's concerned for her safety because she went to go hang out with Berkeley and everything else. And so that's kind of the motivation of it. I think I would have preferred there to have, I don't know, some other kind of overarching plot line. I mean, it's fine if someone from your party goes missing or they run off or whatever it is, and that acts as a vehicle for everybody to have to go to a different part of the country or whatever and experience different types of adventures. I get that. But for some reason, I think that this one didn't have quite the kind of the crazy awesome road trip, so to speak, that I wanted to see. What did you think?
That's true. Yeah, they did not have as much excitement. There wasn't as much of mystery. What's going to happen here? Where are they going to go? It was kind of centered around where are we going to settle, in a sense. They were settling at the White House.
I really like the White House.
I was like, is this a set or do they actually use the White House? I mean, I don't know.
But it's still I thought that was a terrific setup for them to live in the White House. I thought that was a great setup.
Yeah. I kind of wish there was some more characters, but I'm glad they didn't overfeed us with that. But
I agree. I think that what I would have preferred to have seen is they're just on this crazy road trip and they meet crazy character after crazy character, not crazy in the literal sense, but just, these memorable characters that you come across and you're like, what the heck? Having the doppelganger effect of Luke Wilson and Thomas come in and basically look like Tallahassee and Columbus and act like them. Perfect. Yeah. But that needs to be just one of their pit stops. There needs to be all kinds of pit stops they make along the way. And of course too, the zombie portion of things. But did you have another thought you wanted to finish, or?
Well, I was just gonna say I'm glad they switched up the zombies too. They had the smarter zombies or the tougher ones, but they weren't crazy tough like something you'd see out of Resident Evil. They were just took a little more damage, and they realized that some of them, I guess, were a little smarter. They could figure out simple puzzles. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, so when it came to the zombies, I liked the setup. I liked how they had classifications for different types of zombies that they've come across. However, they never expanded upon that. Right. They set us up to explain, we have the Hawkings, we have the Homers, we have the T-800s, we have the ninjas. But in the film, we never saw them have to take on those different classes of zombies. Not to mention, it would have been awesome if they were to discover maybe another class, because the T-800 thing, they had heard about kind of, sort of, and then they came across one of them that Tallahassee dispatched of. But I wanted to see a whole lot more craziness, because in the first film, there were all kinds of different things that were happening. We were just like, oh my gosh. And there were a lot of I don't know, pretty nifty approaches to how they dispatched the zombies in the first film. And this one, it was just kind of straightforward. They had their guns and they were doing their thing. And I think there was one time when they were outside and Columbus was on top of the RV van and giving directions as to where the zombies were coming from. And there was one that was going to attack Columbus on top of the van, and he ended up going off and landing on his head in front of the van. That was the one time I saw a zombie kill. I was like, ooh, man, that was gnarly. I wanted to see more gnarly.
Right.
I wanted to see more of those creative types of approaches to how the zombies just get taken out.
Yeah, they told us about the zombie kill of the week and then of the year, I'm glad you brought that up too, because I got a little confused as to who these. It's they were showing random people in the world who were doing things, and I guess word spread of I guess how they did it, and so then there was kind of because they didn't have internet, they didn't have phones, but I guess word of mouth kind of spread, and so then somehow they're meeting people. Yeah, I don't even know what in the world. Yeah.
But I wish that they would have taken that further too, because I like the idea of it. But maybe instead of it being worldwide, international thing, because I don't see how someone in Italy could do something and then have it reach the United States, and people are like, "Oh, did you hear about so and so? How they did it?"
With no phone.
I think I would have preferred if they kept it just within their group,
right?
And or maybe some of the people who they come across. Like when they're talking to Albuquerque and Flagstaff and they compare notes and stuff, and they're, well, we did this one, and they can have fun with the motion graphics coming in and showing stuff, and as they have flashbacks as to how they had some sort of amazing dispatching of a zombie.
That would have been a lot better. Yeah. I mean, I guess you're not really supposed to think about it too much, but that kind of causes you to think about it. Okay, am I supposed to set my brain at the door, or how much am I supposed to think about this? Because you guys don't have smartphones, you don't have the internet, you don't have phones. You're telling us that there's hardly anybody living that you can even talk to and get news from other different areas. And so, but all these worldwide events, somehow someone's keeping track of all the epic zombie kills.
Yeah, it's definitely not a critical thinking movie by any stretch, but I think because of the setup as to how they're approaching the subject material, it's like you have got to really push that envelope far. Like just don't stop here. You got to really get that edginess in there, and I mean that's what part of what Zombieland is. So. They end up, of course, coming to some kind of pacifist place called Babylon. And I did like the idea of how they had to melt their guns. Because, I mean, in a world full of zombies, that's the last thing you want to do. And you're thinking, how on earth are they going to try and get through this? So that was kind of interesting, too. And I don't know. I mean, moving over to cinematography and special effects, I was actually disappointed as to how the zombies looked. And I realized it is a byproduct of the fact that there has been so much zombiness over the last 10 years. Like when you watch The Walking Dead, for instance,
those look good.
Oh my gosh. Like they really did an amazing job on the practical makeup effects of the zombies there. I mean, they look crazy good, or any of the number of other zombie movies that have come out where like they've had different types of approaches to things. Even the games. I mean, we were playing Resident Evil 2 Remake earlier this year, and the zombies, of course, they got a big graphics upgrade and they look, gross and terrifying and everything else. And so that was something that I was wishing that they had done something a bit different, or maybe like it was just so overly gross. And again, I think a good way to think of this is scenarios. Come up with a lot of just hysterical, scary scenarios that they can find themselves in. Like, for instance, zombies are really goopy, right? They've got all kinds of different bodily fluids and stuff that are stained on their skin, or they're drooling, or whatever it is. I mean, you could have, like, imagine Tallahassee is stuck and there's some zombie who's trying to get him and he's trying to bite him and he's holding him back. And there's just a ridiculous amount of nasty body fluids that are just coming out of the zombie's mouth and eyes and ears and everything. And it's like dripping all over like Tallahassee's face and he's freaking out. Like, I could see them totally hamming that up and having a blast with that. Kind of like, in a way, how Trey Parker and Matt Stone handle their like Team America World Police when like for instance, when they had the main character who was vomiting profusely, just totally ridiculous, over the top, impossible to vomit that much, but they just did it and it was just hilarious because you're just like, wow, you guys just really went there, didn't you? Anyway. What?
I got visions in my head. Anyway.
What do you think of the special effects in there, Steve?
Well, I didn't really see any special effects, actually.
There really weren't a whole lot of special effects. I mean, it was more, I was thinking more about like makeup effects.
Yeah, the makeup effects, it wasn't anything. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there. It wasn't really much to, be impressed or write home about. It was just kind of there, and you thought, okay, well, awesome. I guess the special effects will be shooting stuff and blowing stuff up, maybe.
Well, and I think that the same can be said even for the soundtrack as well as the costumes, where it was just kind of like, okay, it's there, it serves its purpose. There was nothing that really stood out to me as whoa, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into some movie trivia courtesy of IMDb. The Elvis classic Burning Love that is played during the end credits was performed actually by Woody Harrelson himself.
That's cool.
Not too shabby.
That's awesome.
As of 2015, all 4 leads in this film have been nominated for Academy Awards for their performances in other films. In 2017, Emma Stone became the first to win an Oscar for La La Land, which I don't think I've seen yet.
No.
I need to take a little look-see. Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch's characters are called Albuquerque and Flagstaff, respectively. These were going to be the original names of Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg's characters, respectively, before Tallahassee and Columbus were chosen for them.
That's funny.
Not too shabby. You can almost see like someone getting the idea in their head, like, oh, I just got a good idea.
I got something.
Hey, come here. In Zombieland from 2009, Woody Harrelson is always on the lookout for Twinkies and is extremely upset when he finds a truck full of snowballs instead. Remember that?
I do.
In the show Cheers, that classic TV show that Woody Harrelson was in, specifically, there is an episode titled Rat Girl, and Woody Harrelson's character states that he thinks snowballs are better than Twinkies because they are, quote, bite-sized, and shoves a whole snowball in his mouth. A little bit of the old career irony there, if you will. Now, this one blew my mind. Ryan Reynolds was considered for the role of Albuquerque, but had to turn it down due to scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, I mean, he could do it. He could pull it off for sure, but I'm glad he didn't.
My thing is I'm actually glad that Luke Wilson did it because I think he did a good job with it.
Yeah.
However, I would love to have seen Ryan Reynolds play a character in the world of Zombieland as perhaps another pit stop that they get to. Do you realize how amazingly awesome that would be? Or maybe he could even join the group as a part of, with Tallahassee and Columbus and Wichita and Little Rock. It would have been awesome to have him there.
Maybe like a ZZ Top beard or something like that. He hadn't shaved. Just some like caveman surviving in the wilderness. Yeah.
Even when we saw the Fast and the Furious movie and we had no idea Ryan Reynolds was going to be it, that was like one of the highlights of the entire movie. Was like the scenes that he was in was fantastic.
Right.
I mean, even Kevin Hart, like having Kevin Hart in Zombieland would be great.
True.
Finally, the end of the film reveals that Day Zero, which is the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, coincided with the 2009 release of Garfield 3, Flabby Tabby, and shows a zombie outbreak during the press interviews for the film with Bill Murray. Bill Murray never made a third Garfield film, actually, in real life. It was just a fictional thing they did for the film. And that is your movie trivia courtesy of IMDb.
There you go.
Now, okay, so it is worth mentioning too. Did you guys stay for the credits? Did you see the Bill Murray scenes?
Yes. I was about to. I had to pee so bad. And I got up and then I heard what's-his-face get on the thing and started talking. I'm like, I gotta sit back down, man. I'm dying, about to start pissing my pants.
Yeah. I gotta say that actually was one of the highlights of the entire film for me. I just love Bill. I mean, we both love Bill Murray.
Right.
Bill Murray is amazing. He's
a genius.
He is one of the funniest. My goodness, he is such a pleasure to watch on screen, I must say.
Indeed.
And watching him do what he did with Al Roker and everything else, I was just like, oh, thank you. Like, I loved how the movie was self-aware of that. Like, okay, fine, he got Murrayed and it's my fault. Like, we have something here that'll hopefully make up for it. And I'm like, oh wait, what are they going to do? And it was just really fun to have that whole entire scene. And again, that was almost a taste of what I was talking about earlier about like having those crazy over the top scenarios that are just, you're like, what is going on? What is happening? I'm being taken on this wild ride and I love it. So Steve, what are your final thoughts and rating of this movie?
Well, final thoughts are, if you haven't seen the first one, you're not really going to enjoy this one because this is just getting the band together again and having a fun time. Fun time meaning you're going to be entertained, you're going to have some chuckles. It's just not going to be hilarious. I think it's its own kind of culture classic, kind of
cult
movie.
Classic.
Yeah,
sure.
So anyhow, it was fun. It wasn't grotesque. I'm glad it wasn't grotesque. I'd probably just give it, a 3-star.
Okay.
I don't say, I was thinking 2.5, 3, but I'll say a 3 because I didn't feel like it was a waste of time. I'm probably not going to see it again, but I'm glad I saw it.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun. So fun equals 3, Russ.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
My goodness. Well, I thought the original movie was better than the sequel. I think that as a general rule, it's always hard to kind of up the ante and actually become better than the original movie as a sequel, just because the original obviously has a lot of novel ideas that people haven't seen or experienced before, and so it's just this first time ride. I also think, personally, it was a mistake to wait as long as they did. I understand, and I really do agree with your interpretation of why they waited.
Yeah.
But I think that was a disservice to them overall, just because we got spoiled as a viewing community of seeing all this other great zombie stuff, for lack of a better word of saying it, where we got spoiled with all these crazy stories of humanity and zombie apocalypse, whether it was like the AMCU's Walking Dead, or any number of the zombie movies that have come out since the Zombieland movie did come out, as well as the video games. I mean, the Telltale games, zombie games, the Resident Evil series,
Left 4 Dead,
the Metro Exodus in kind of a way is it's not predominantly zombie, but it's kind of in that same vein. There's just a lot of stuff that we have consumed, and we've been very thankful for all of that. But I just wish that they had made that sequel perhaps in like 2011 or something, just like a year or two after the original came out, because it would have had the opportunity for them to be able to explore the world that they were in. So, having said that, I do think the chemistry between the actors was still good. This movie, because of the sharp writing, it is a comedy. You got to have that chemistry there. It was good. Definitely enjoyed, like I said, the addition of the newer characters. I really wanted to see more of that. And I got to say, overall, I'm going to give this film 2.5 stars.
Okay. Well, that's
2.5.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I thought it was worth one viewing. I thought it was worth checking out. And I definitely would recommend, for those people who are fans of the original, definitely go and see this one, because it is a fun trip to be able to get like you said, the band back together again. That wraps up this episode of Joygasm. Make sure you tune in next week when we talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to check out patreon.com/Joygasm and consider becoming a monthly contributor. You get exclusive perks and early access to the show, not to mention it really helps us continue doing what we love to do. Also, you can follow us on social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. Last but not least, search Joygasm TV on Twitch to see us stream our gaming adventures live every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll see you next week.